This Sunday, it's time for us to make a real statement. The rest of the league is starting to clock our game. They're starting to realize that this Chelsea team this season, they're no joke anymore. There's something serious happening here. We're seeing that from players. We're hearing that from managers as well too. And right now, it feels like if there's one thing lacking in our performance this season, it's the fact that we aren't getting enough big name bodies on our hit list. And it feels like this Sunday, there is no better place to make a statement than at 3-point lane. Spurs, in typical fashion, have hit yet again another low. Since surprising all of us by beating Man City 4-0, they haven't won in their last 3 games, and it seems that they are now suffering from injuries, a loss of confidence, and a loss of form. And this comes off the back of yesterday's disheartening, draining defeat to high-pressing Bournemouth. And it feels like right now Spurs, mentally and physically, they're at an all-time low right now. So we come at the absolute worst time to play against them. The contrast between us and Spurs is completely night and day. And one of the reasons why our season is so positive comes down to this summer's recruitment of Enzo Maresca. Now, I keep saying this, I'm going to say this again. Well done to the board for making this decision. Of course, it kind of surprised a lot of us at the time. Some of us kept an open mind, but this was a decision that has, without a doubt, completely paid off because Maresca has come here, he's drilled the team, he's made us more disciplined, but most importantly, he's given us this unpredictable factor in our game, which for myself is one of the main reasons behind this season's great form. This unpredictability in terms of what lineup are we going to use? How is he going to use particular players in the team? It makes it incredibly hard for opposition managers to really clock onto Maresca and figure out the optimum game plan to try and nullify us. Maresca's been able to make sense of a very talented squad. He's created that order. He's created that environment for players who want to best themselves, to improve, to get better. And when I compare our performance last year where we beat Spurs 4-1 in a victory which still to this day I still find pretty embarrassing because it didn't take until the end of extra time in the second half before we completely just took the game away from Spurs. And during that time, they had moments where they could have equalized and possibly got a point being down to 9 men. But comparing our performances now from then, you can't compare it. We're at a different level. 2024 has been a great year for us. We've seen the rise and ascendancy of our form and our game. But as I said, one key thing we have to start showing now is that not only are we good enough to compete with the big teams, but we are now good enough to beat them. That is the next challenge. Obviously, Spurs are no Arsenal, they're no City, they're no Liverpool, but they are our traditional, historical whipping boys. And right now, it's all about maintaining this great form we find ourselves in. And right now, we must fully take advantage of the month of December because if we have a successful month here, this opens up possibilities that we can't even foresee when the second half of the season starts to approach. So my friends, this Sunday, I feel like we are now ready now to secure a comfortable win against Spurs. And in today's preview, I'm going to go through the presser, predicted lineup, and all that good stuff. So if you guys feel in your blood or your body in anything that you want to feel, which I don't, let's not even go there. But hit that like button, man. Hit that like button. Let's try and get 2-3K likes today. So I hope you guys enjoy. And let's get straight into things. With team news, we're going to keep that brief, because as we know, Reece James, Fofana, they're still recovering from their injuries, but don't expect Mykhailo Mudryk to take any part in the game, as we're learning that he has been out with illness at the time. Other than that, we have a full-strength team, and our quality and our depth is just too much for this injury-hit Spurs team, in my opinion, to really handle at this point in time. And this now takes us forward to the press conference, and I'll go through the key talking points in the presser today. And naturally, Maresca spoke about how the fans finally started singing his name, and the fans started singing, "We have our Chelsea back." Like, it's taken us a few years to start really showing our qualities. It's great to see it right now. And Maresca says the fans, they deserve this moment. Of course, in terms of there being a title challenge this season, he isn't going to emphasize that, and he's not going to make that a thing. Right now, as he says, we aren't ready to compete with Liverpool, Arsenal, or Man City, and I think there is some wisdom behind the words he is purposefully choosing at this point in time. I agree. This sentiment's on point. I don't feel like we need to jump the gun right now. I feel like our form's great, but we're acting as if that we've got answers to all the questions that have typically kind of affected us over the last few years. And for myself, those questions are we a team that's good enough right now to consistently find openings and beat teams that sit back and park the bus? We haven't even seen teams reduce themselves to just stopping us from playing just yet, but that's going to happen as this season goes on. We have to show that we can beat big teams. We have to collect more clean sheets. We have to improve in our pressing structures because Maresca was quite critical of the first 15-20 minutes. Let's not forget, the margins are this fine when it comes to winning the Premier League. Ideally, you're looking at least 85 points minimum. And you have to think to yourselves right now, are we a team that's good enough to secure that amount of points right now? Who knows? But for myself, I can't confidently say right now that we are destined, we are good enough to hit numbers like that. The next part of the conversation turns towards the Club World Cup because, as we know, the draw was finally revealed yesterday, and I thought Maresca's answers were pretty interesting. Of course, one of the downsides to the Club World Cup is that this is set to affect pre-season because the tournament ends on the 13th of July, and you have to remember that pre-season didn't actually start for us until the 9th of July, so our pre-season was quite slow. We've come a long way since that period then. But naturally, if we're going to properly challenge for the title next season, not having a proper pre-season or players not having proper rest, that could maybe affect momentum. Let's see what happens there. I got the vibe that Maresca was maybe a little bit apprehensive about the Club World Cup. And as he says, of course, we have to see the condition of the players as the year comes to its end because he feels like maybe players are playing too many games now in the modern game. For the final two key points, my friends, we turn towards more discussions around Noni Madueke. Obviously, as we know, Maresca gave positive criticism on Noni's game after the Southampton win. Maresca revealed that Noni took the advice on board very well, but we started to learn some insight behind his relationship with the players. But to focus on Noni, he says overall Noni is working hard, let's not forget that, but at times he can drop his performance. Goals and assists for him are good this season, but I need to keep pushing this guy forward. For myself, I kind of see it like this. You know, Noni's the student who's easily getting like B grades, but Maresca, the teacher, feels like, hold on a sec, you're good enough where if you push yourself and apply yourself a bit harder, you're an A grade student. And I think that's the type of coaching that this young team needs. I think some people missed the overall positive points Maresca was trying to say when he spoke about Noni Madueke. He's not sticking it on him. I think people focused too much on the criticism parts and forgot about the constructivity behind them. But, to go on, Noni revealed actually that Maresca's a manager where, he knows when to separate being your friend from being your coach. And this is something that Maresca himself re-emphasized in the press where he said, listen, I like to have relations with my players. Of course, I need to do that. But equally, they need to know that they're here to work. I can't be too friendly where I'm too scared to be giving them criticisms on their game. They need to know that when I make these comments, it comes from a place of love because I believe in you. And that's exactly what I took on board when he discussed Noni. So my friends, anything to the final key point, another interesting question, but how different is Maresca's time here compared to his time at Leicester City? And Maresca revealed that there aren't too many differences really. His approach is still the same. He focuses on the squad and how to help them and the team. And he says that the focus is on improving the players and the team and no more than that. That's what I'm paid to do. I spend hours with myself and my team trying to figure out how to optimize this way of coaching. I cannot speak for other managers that have been at Chelsea in terms of what I'm doing differently to them, but me and my team, we work on the details. We spend hours analyzing sessions. And today, for example, I give extra sessions to help some players who we feel need it. So, he's keeping it real, he's keeping it concise, he's keeping it clear. And to be fair, this is exactly why we are finding this newfound success for this season under him. So that's the press out the way. And now, my friends, let's tackle the predicted lineup. I'm going to take a bit of a gamble with this one. I'm curious to see your reaction to this, but I'm not going to waste time. Let's get straight into the lineup. Up front, Nicholas Jackson. In behind, Neto, Palmer, Madueke. Midfield of Lavia, Enzo. Defense of Cuckoo, Cole, Fofana, Moises Caicedo as right back, inverting, and Robert Sanchez. Now, let's go through this lineup. Let's unpack things, my friends. Number one, Robert Sanchez is playing because Maresca has confirmed in the presser he is my number one. So right now, the challenge is for Jorgensen to be able to win that spot of Sanchez. So let's see if he can do that. Nicholas Jackson. He strikes fear into Tottenham hearts. He scored 4 goals against Spurs, and it does kind of feel like he may be on that path of recreating what Drogba did with Arsenal, but with Tottenham. 4 goals, I think that's pretty good, and you'd imagine that he has the confidence now to increase that goal tally against them. He's proven to be one of the most dangerous forwards in the league, and he's testament to the fact of why you have to have patience and allow players to grow and improve. So I'm really hoping Nico gets on the score sheet. I feel quite confident he is set to do that. I think we can take advantage of Spurs' defense on Sunday. And in behind an attack, I've gone for Neto on the left, Palmer in the middle, and Madueke on the right-hand side. Now, for me, it's simply this too. Against Spurs, I need to have directness. Down the left-hand side, I need my option to be able to push the back line back, to stretch the play, to give us an outlet in transitional moments and on the counter-attack. When we play away from home, we aren't forcing possession for the sake of it. You can see our game against Southampton. We allowed Southampton to have a bit more possession so we could pick them off on the counter-attack. And this is an approach that we've seen time and time again. So against Spurs, we've been very susceptible to, overloads out wide penetration and mistakes in these areas. And the counter-attack in particular, I feel like Neto would be the great balance we need to really just cause some damage down that side. And when you've got Palmer and Madueke combining together on the right-hand side, that's the balance I feel can unlock and cause a lot of fear to the Spurs defense. Obviously, I'm expecting Cole Palmer to get on the score sheet as well. I think that we're starting to see some great form from him. And of course, it'll be a challenge now for Madueke to improve upon his game against Southampton. I still want to see maybe Noni assert himself a bit more in the big games. He's shown promise here and there, but I think there's more from him. And I feel like a game against Spurs where he has conditions in his favour, having Palmer alongside him again, I have to see more. And obviously, my friends, for the big thing in the predicted lineup, I feel like Moises has to be the inverted right-back option. I think in games like this, Lavia, Enzo, Caicedo makes sense. At the start of the season when we played against Man City, he used him in a flat midfield 3, and maybe, the team weren't fully ready at the time, but, using Caicedo now as the inverted option, I just feel like it allows us to maintain the aggressiveness, allows us to win duels in midfield, win those second balls. These are some of the key aspects in midfield when it comes to determining, winning or losing. The margins are that fine. The details really matter. And I just feel like Caicedo, of course, has shown that he can defend wide. He was really good doing that in the game. But when he inverts and steps into midfield to form that base with Lavia, it's just the synergy is just ridiculous, I mean, how often are you going to see Caicedo or Lavia the license to maybe push forward to stop the opposition counter-attacks from developing time and time again? In this way, it frees up Enzo Fernandez to focus on pressing compared to tracking back, which he is not good at doing. And I just think this balance right now, this is the big game tactic. Caicedo playing on the right until maybe Reece James shows he is fit enough and reliable enough to potentially be another option there for big games. So my friends, I think the rest of the lineup speaks for itself. And now let's end things with a prediction. And I am going for a 3-1 win. I still feel like if there's one part of our game I'm not fully confident about, is that we don't keep enough clean sheets. And sometimes just mistakes or set pieces and things of this manner can go against us. But in terms of goals, I'm not worried about this at all. We're the top scorers in the league for very good reason. And I think the Spurs team now, I just think there's too many negatives hitting them all at once in terms of form, mentality, lack of confidence, and we are at the complete opposite end of the scale. And I think knowing the historical rivalry we have over them, I think the players are raring to go. There's a reason why players were rested. The team was rotated against Southampton. Mix in with the fact that I don't think Angie's going to have a game plan to nullify what Maresca's got cooking up right now. Yeah, I'm feeling confident, very confident. I'm going for 3-1, and if we score more goals, I wouldn't be surprised. So that's it, my friends. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys here tomorrow and on Sunday on match day, and have a good Friday. Cool.